Café and Networking Podcast promotes entrepreneurs, business experts throughout the world. I'm Tom Reaoch, known as the King of Networking, podcasting and connecting people from my studio in Brazil. Today we talk with Brandon Leibowitz, and he's joining us from Santa Monica, California. Brandon Leibowitz is the owner of SEO Optimizers, and he provides a wide range of digital marketing services to all types of businesses, helping small and medium-sized companies get ranked at the top of Google by using search engine optimization tactics and bringing in traffic via social media and also paid ads. So Brandon, what are the trends for digital marketing?
Yeah, thanks for having me on today. And I really focus on SEO and try to look at the trends kind of with what Google's doing and with the search engines and just trying to figure out what the future holds. It's kind of tough to predict because there is no constant. There's always a change with digital. It's constantly evolving and changing. But for the most part, with SEO, Google's just trying to like clean up the website or spam and just provide better results. So that's why Google's algorithm is constantly updating they're doing things to help provide a better user experience, but they're really trying to clean up spam and clean up people that have gamed the system and figured out loopholes on ways to just tap into Google's traffic without really doing the work. Also, mobile is really something that's taking off and not slowing down. And with mobile, everything's really shifted. In 2013, Google realized that they had this update called the Hummingbird update, where they realized back in 2013 that everything is shifting towards mobile, right? That they need to understand the human language, the semantic web, AI. And that was when Google really started doing it back in 2013. They're still not there yet with AI. They're trying to get towards it, but they're really trying to understand the human language and the intent behind it. Because when you have a phone, you could speak into it. Whereas when you're on your computer, you just might type in something like restaurants near me. But if you have your cell phone, you could speak into it saying, where can I find the best restaurant near me? It's a whole different type of search. Right. It's actually sentences now, understanding the human language. I think like half of the searches nowadays are new searches that Google's never seen, just because of the way people speak or typos and all that stuff. But It's just different ways to search nowadays. But we'll have to see if Google sticks around or if another search engine like DuckDuckGo or Koja could take over, which doesn't seem like it, but there's a lot of search engines trying to compete with Google. But it's tough. Google just has such a strong market hold that.
Well, one of the points that you just mentioned, I think that's true. We see that there are more different searches, new searches. And what we see, I just mentioned that yesterday to a person, the pandemic brought a whole avenue of opportunities for everybody. Companies that were never thought of wanting to be found realized that they needed to be found. And people who didn't have the habit of searching needed to search. So that just became a whole new ball game worldwide.
Mm-hmm. It changed it all up. But the other thing that happens too is there's a lot of these search terms that get 0 clicks. So a lot of keywords nowadays, you search and Google gives you the answer right there in this featured snippet. So a lot of these search, unfortunately, a lot of clicks now, you could just read the answer there. So it's good for user experience because you get the answer right there, but it's bad for a website owner because now I'm not getting that website traffic. If you're searching for like the weather or sporting game, like scores and stuff like that, they just pull that out from these websites, from ESPN and weather.com and stuff like that. So even like Wikipedia, they're losing a ton of traffic because they just give you all the information on Google nowadays. So it's a good user experience, but it's bad. And it's interesting how it's all shifting. And then they got to figure out their business structure. Like if Google's giving the answer right there, they're not even getting traffic. It's good for branding because they'll have their company name there. But other than that, it doesn't do too much. So that one's an interesting one. But also, social is such a big one in general. Just social media is taken off and really grabbed everything and taking everyone on a ride with the social media. But it just depends. Like I always tell people, is social media where your audience is at? Because a lot of people think they need to be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest. But I always tell them you need to be where your audience is at. That's really the number one thing. Like if you're a doctor, you're probably not going to get new clients off Instagram or Facebook. You might, but most people are probably going to go on Google or Yelp, and then they're going to check you out on social to vouch that you are a real person or business and all that stuff. But it's changed a lot, and it's interesting how everything just keeps shifting. That's one thing that I like about digital marketing is it's constantly changing. It's not the same thing over and over.
Well, we have to say you have to get up early and go to sleep late, right? Because as we sleep, we get up, it's all changed.
Every single day, Google's changing their algorithm every single day. There's new sites that emerge, new platforms that emerge or disappear or lose interest. So it's just constantly staying on top of it, trying to read up on blogs and staying up on forums and testing things out, just trying to see what works, what doesn't work. And
well, to your point too about audiences are everywhere. They're literally 24/7. They're in hundreds of countries and hundreds and maybe thousands of languages or dialects. They're everywhere. So SEO helps you find that audience, does it?
Yep, SEO helps you find that and put you in the front of the audience at the right time when they're searching for your product or service. Because with Google, people are actually searching, so they're showing intent that they actually want to use your product or service at that moment. Whereas social, you just have people's interests, which they might want to use your product or service in the past or the future. That doesn't necessarily mean they want to use it at this moment. So it's a little bit different with that intent in the audiences, but that's like Google is always going to be such a strong player. Same with YouTube. People could search in YouTube. They're looking for help with something. They're not just browsing around.
But even if they're browsing, it's good to be remembered, and maybe when they do want something, and to the point of credibility. Today we see so much fake stuff everywhere. For a company, for a person starting up as a company, you need to establish credibility pretty early in the game.
Yeah, building trust with Google to get Google to rank you is tough. But then once you build that trust with Google and you start getting all this traffic to your website, how do you build the traffic or build the trust of that traffic? That's the toughest part, is getting people to actually convert, because you can spend money on paid ads and you can send people to your website all day. But if your website's not optimized for conversions, if people don't trust you, they're going to just hit that back button and go to somebody else. So that's such a big thing, is building trust up, which is to people, which is so tough. But social media, having multiple touch points where you maybe run some remarketing ads to follow people around that didn't convert, trying to capture people's email addresses so you could send out emails. But the more touch points you have, the more trust people are going to have. I think it's like 5 touch points before people actually really believe you. So that's
more than a technician, you're a consultant, you're an advisor.
I've realized over the years that I could get you traffic from SEO, but if the traffic's not converting, it doesn't do too much. So I've realized over the years that I really have to focus on getting traffic, but also focus on optimizing the website for conversions, because traffic is just half the battle. It's getting that traffic to convert. That's the tough one. Just like social media, you get a big following on social media, but if they're not doing anything, they're not taking action, it doesn't do too much for you. So you got to just figure out how to work that audience.
Very good, Brandon. Well, thanks for being part. How can our audience find you? How will you show up in a search?
If they come to my website, I'll be following them around. But everyone that's tuning in, if I create a special gift for them, if they go to my website, SEOoptimizers.com, that's SEOoptimizers.com/gift. They can find that there and find all my contact information as well.
Very good. Well, thanks again, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today.
And for our listeners, again, it's Brandon Leibowitz. It's Brandon, and the last name Leibowitz. And the site is SEOoptimizers.com. Café and Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information on their site, focusmi.com. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Café and Networking Podcast.